I think people like Mr. Rogan prey on people's vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it's boo-hoo.
I am not a consumer or enthusiast about Mr. Rogan and his work.
Shut up.
I personally find it deeply repulsive.
F*** you, man.
I'm also absolutely in dismay that this can be a source of public entertainment when it's really treating the public as plunder for purposes that are really quite malevolent.
You dumb motherfucker.
Part-time Klaus Schwab impersonator and ABC boss Kim Williams has had a crack at Joe Rogan. He called him dangerous and malevolent and all that good stuff, but the funniest bit was the reaction to the backlash.
How can people react in such a frankly demonic fashion? I really stand back in disbelief.
Yes, that's right. He immediately played the victim, just like any legacy media figure does these days. It's the first rule in the playbook. Attack a motherfucker, and then when attacked back, cry victim. Oh, how terrible, how could you? Anyway, we're going to have a closer look at this saga right now. So this all went down at the National Press Club the other day. Now, the National Press Club is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a big meeting of legacy media people who get together and toss each other off about how good they are. Now, they have keynote speakers, and sometimes they're interesting, depending on who it is. This time around, it was Kim Williams, the boss of the ABC, or the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. If you're not from Australia, they're basically a taxpayer-funded media group, and although they're meant to be impartial, they're very, very left-leaning. They're just like typical old media for lack of a better description, and it's just dull and boring. Nothing much good comes from the ABC. Anyway, some chick who's also from the ABC gets up and asks Kim Williams this question.
Hello, Kim. Thank you for your address
Jane.
today and welcome back to the club. I have a question about Joe Rogan, and you've sort of touched on elements of this in the US. He's obviously the world's most popular podcast host. He has 3 billion listeners. He's sort of managed to successfully capture that bro market in America.
That bro market in America? What the fuck is a bro market? Do you mean he has a higher proportion of male listeners? And I love how she says bro. It's kind of equivalent to the Valley Girl accent in Australia. She doesn't have it full on, but it seeps through. She's trying to sound professional. Good God, I hope I don't sound like that.
How to teach an Australian to say no. Let's begin. Repeat after me. No.
No.
That is not correct. No, spelled N-O.
No.
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 That is actually spelled N-A-U-W-R-E-I-G-H.
She didn't even have it that bad. I know women that are like, no, no. It's fucking annoying. But then I untie them and let them go. And they're like, thank you. Anyway, I feel like I've gotten a bit sidetracked.
He's sort of managed to successfully capture that bro market in America.
Okay, one last distraction. Is she wearing upside down cross earrings? I'm not religious or like spiritual, but isn't that like bad? Isn't that like what the bad ghosts and demons in horror movies do? Anyway, let's focus, for fuck's sake.
And his influence is such that in the wake of the US election, the Democrats have said that one of Kamala Harris's mistakes was that she didn't appear on his program.
Yeah, she didn't appear on his program because she's a bumbling fool. It would have been a slaughter and quite entertaining to watch.
So I'm just wondering if you had any observations about what's behind the Joe Rogan effect, how you believe he's managed to so successfully capture this huge market. And then for us here in Australia, you know, how would or should the ABC be going about capturing that kind of audience?
See, when she says capturing that kind of audience, she doesn't mean how can we attract that same sort of audience. She means how can we convert them? How can we destroy that kind of audience? She doesn't like the bro market. She wants everyone to watch the ABC and be boring fucks. Anyway, let's hear from Klaus Schwab.
I'm not sure that I'm the right person to respond to that question. I am not a consumer or enthusiast about Mr. Rogan and his work.
Shocking.
Oh, shocking. Shut up, you condescending bitch.
I am not one of the 3 billion, and I'm unlikely to be 3 billion and one anytime soon.
Oh, okay, so he's not one of the 3 billion. He's not part of Joe Rogan's audience. He does not watch Joe Rogan. Surely he cannot have a strong opinion on Joe Rogan. Spoiler, he fucking does.
I think people like Mr. Rogan.
Oh, and let me just make this clear. I am no Joe Rogan dick rider. I'm not one of those people who go, oh, Joe's put out a new episode. I must watch every minute of it. In fact, I don't think I've ever watched a full Joe Rogan episode. I watched like half the Trump one. I watched like maybe a quarter of the JD Vance one. Actually, no, I did watch the Flint Dibble Graham Hancock debate. One of the funniest things about that was this comment from MSG Bunch of Letters. He says, there's never been someone who looked more like their name than Flint Dibble.
I think people like Mr. Rogan prey on people's vulnerabilities. They prey on fear, they prey on anxiety, they prey on all of the elements that contribute to uncertainty in society.
What the fuck is he talking about? He's making Joe sound like some sort of sexual predator. He preys on people's fear and anxiety. Shut the fuck up. He's a comedian who asks questions. And it's a good show. He's inquisitive. He wants to learn things. He doesn't claim to be any sort of expert, except for maybe in jiu-jitsu or whatever the fuck he does. He's not preying on anyone. It baffles me that the guy that heads a state-run media outlet that's funded to the tune of like a fucking $1 billion a year says that some cunt in a room with a microphone talking to people is in some way predatory.
And they entrepreneur fantasy outcomes and conspiracy outcomes as being a normal part of social narrative.
You know, when I first saw this, I thought he's thinking about Alex Jones. He's mixing up Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. I mean, Joe Rogan doesn't peddle conspiracies. He asks like silly questions sometimes, but peddling conspiracies? That sounds like he's describing Alex Jones. And for the record, Alex Jones has been right about a lot of shit. So sometimes, what did he say? Disrupting the social narrative is a good thing, Klaus.
I personally find it deeply repulsive. And to think that someone has such remarkable power in the United States is something that I look at in disbelief. I'm also absolutely in dismay that this can be a source of public entertainment when it's really treating the public as plunder for purposes that are really quite malevolent.
Malevolent, repulsive, conspiracy peddler, preys on people's anxieties. Wow, that's really not a good summary, Klaus, especially for someone who doesn't watch Joe Rogan. So anyway, that little talk happened, and people all around the world are like, what the fuck, dude? What are you talking about? And gave him some backlash, you know, some home truths. And like I said before, he cried victim. Watch this.
Where is this super sensitivity deriving from? You make a comment in response to a legitimate question from a journalist. You answer it concisely and give an honest answer in terms of what your own perception of Mr. Joe Rogan is. And suddenly I get this huge pile-on from people in the most aggressive way, saying that I have a warped outlook on the world, that I am an embarrassment to our nation, that I am in some way unhinged, that I am a supreme example of arrogance and disconnection with Australian society, and all manner of things. I have to say to you, Raf, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Do you think they've got glass jaws?
I really don't understand. I do think they've got glass jaws. I don't think they've got glass jaws. I think they've got glass corpus in toto. I mean, their whole body is made of glass. How can people react in such a frankly demonic fashion? I really stand back in disbelief.
What a schmuck. Do you think they have glass jaws? No, I think they've got glass corpus in toto. I mean, I'm not familiar with that term, but I'm assuming it's Latin for whole body. As in, I don't think they've got glass jaws. I think their whole bodies are made of glass. What a fruity, arrogant prick. So in conclusion, this guy's a bitch and he's getting what he deserves. Anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have any comments, leave them down below or at my Twitter. It's @bear_ing, and I'll catch you later. Fucking totus in catchum corpus later. Whatever the fuck. See you later. Bye-bye.
Recession! Recession!